Mecca, the 7th of August, 2026. Turkey's president, Saudi Arabia's crown prince, and Pakistan's prime minister sign a single sheet of paper. It says that an attack on any one of their three countries will be treated as an attack on all three. That kind of language usually takes decades to build, and a shared enemy to justify it. This one appeared in 2 years. But here's the complication. Almost the exact same wording already existed. Quietly, in a pact these same two countries signed 11 months earlier. So why did it suddenly need a third partner, signed publicly, in the holiest city in Islam, in the middle of a live war? Is this the birth of a genuine new power bloc in the Middle East? Or is it something looser, a temporary alignment that could unravel as fast as it formed? What's confirmed is straightforward. The Mecca Agreement commits Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan to treat aggression against one as aggression against all, mirroring, on paper, NATO's Article 5. What's disputed is how far that actually goes. A former Indian Foreign Secretary has argued the wording is stronger than NATO's own Article 5, since it doesn't hedge. A Turkey researcher at the Middle East Institute takes the opposite view, that this is less a new alliance than the formal branding of military cooperation that already existed. Both are reading the same sentence. Neither can yet prove the other wrong, because the pact has never been tested. Add up what each country brings, and the combination is real. Turkey has NATO's second largest military and a fast-growing drone industry. Saudi Arabia has the deepest financial reserves in the region. Pakistan has a battle-tested army and nuclear weapons. That last point is where things get carefully vague. Pakistan's defense minister said nuclear weapons were not on the radar of the pact. A senior Saudi official asked the same question, called it simply a comprehensive defensive agreement that encompasses all military means. Neither confirmed a nuclear umbrella, neither ruled it out. This didn't come from nowhere. Turkey and Gulf states spent years frozen out after the 2018 killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, before a diplomatic thaw from around 2021. Saudi Arabia restored ties with its old rival Iran in 2023, brokered by China. Israel normalized relations with the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan back in 2020 under the Abraham Accords, with Saudi Arabia widely expected to follow. None of that happened in isolation. Each thread is now part of the same tangled picture. Saudi Arabia wants security that doesn't depend entirely on Washington. Turkey wants relevance and export markets for its defense industry. Pakistan wants financial backing and diplomatic weight after tension with India. Egypt wants to diversify its arms supply beyond an unconditional US-Israel relationship it no longer fully trusts. One Gulf state is conspicuously absent from all of this, the UAE, which has moved the other way, deepening ties with Israel and Washington, even withdrawing from OPEC. That split, inside a Gulf bloc that used to present a united front, is itself part of the story. But this is where the story gets concrete. On the 28th of February, 2026, the United States and Israel struck Iran directly, killing its supreme leader. War followed. Iran retaliated against Israel, American bases, and Gulf states, closing the Strait of Hormuz and rattling global oil markets. The UAE, aligned with Israel, absorbed the heaviest barrage of any Gulf state. Saudi Arabia was hit too, though less severely. And 6 months before that war even began, something quieter had already happened. Israel struck Hamas officials inside Qatar, a US ally hosting American forces. Within 8 days, Saudi Arabia signed its first mutual defense pact with Pakistan. That's the clearest cause and effect in this entire story. A strike inside an allied state, followed immediately by a hedge against relying on that ally's protection. Saudi Arabia has since described its position as equidistant, treating Iran and Israel as equally destabilizing forces it wants no part of. It has also ruled out joining the Abraham Accords without an independent Palestinian state. Not everyone accepts that framing. JINSA, a Washington think tank aligned with US and Israeli security interests, has argued this amounts to a false equivalence, that Iran's decades-long, ideologically driven, regional interference isn't comparable to Israeli military operations conducted after October 2023. That's a contested argument from an interested party, not a settled fact, and it's worth naming as such. A more measured reading from the Doha-based Middle East Council on Global Affairs is blunter about the uncertainty. These states share threats, not necessarily trust, and whether that holds under pressure remains genuinely open. Zoom out further, and neither the Gulf nor Turkey looks like it's picking a side in a new Cold War. Multiple analysts researching Gulf strategy at Carnegie and elsewhere describe a pattern of hedging, leaning on the US for security while deepening trade and technology ties with China, without abandoning either relationship. China, for its part, appears to want exactly that outcome, enough presence to matter, without the cost of security guarantees it has no interest in providing. That pattern complicates any story about a single emerging bloc. It suggests something messier, several states insuring themselves against several different risks at once. So, bloc, alignment, or hedge? The honest answer sits between the extremes. There's real institutional weight here, a signed defense pact, and a quartet of foreign ministers who have now met repeatedly and rapidly, including within days of a major ceasefire. That's more structure than previous rounds of Gulf diplomacy produced. But the fault lines are just as real. Egypt and Saudi Arabia remain far more dependent on Washington than Turkey or Pakistan, who have less to lose by defying it. Nobody has said what a real attack would actually trigger. And a shared list of threats is not the same thing as a shared strategy. The language in Mecca borrowed from NATO, but NATO took decades and a single defining enemy to turn a piece of paper into a functioning alliance. This region has neither yet, only overlapping threats, unresolved trust, and a signature that hasn't been tested. Whether that becomes a genuine bloc or simply the latest chapter in a much older story of hedging is a question the region itself hasn't answered.